Welcome to Connections from the Green at the Zurich Classic here in New Orleans. I'm here with my friend Bill Liebler. He is the North American Chief Claim Officer for Marsh. My name is Allen Kirsh. I'm the head of Claims Judicial and Legislative Affairs. So Bill, just welcome to the Zurich Classic. We appreciate you being here. How's it going so far?
It's been a great experience and really appreciate you having me, Alan, to talk about some interesting things today.
Well, certainly we, like to enjoy ourselves here and watch some great golf, but we do talk a little bit of business from time to time. So you and I have worked together a little bit for a few years now on some issues around social inflation and legal system abuse. I know one of the things we've talked a lot about is just the litigation environment that we find ourselves in. So what is the current state of things? I mean, for our mutual customers who are out there, how are they seeing the litigation environment?
Yeah, so a great question to start off with. And, as we move through 2025, our clients collectively, I think, are in a place perhaps where they've never been, right? We're seeing things like geopolitical issues. We're seeing macroeconomics, all sorts of things that are really putting our clients in the difficult task of trying to manage their risk. And so when we talk about litigation abuse, we talk about social inflation. These are the things that are at the top of our clients' minds, right? And so, one of the things that we continue to see is a continued elevation of both frequency and severity as it relates to these nuclear verdicts. And that's really, really concerning to our clients, Alan. And the one thing I would say, though, is there is an upside. There's always an upside. And I think in terms of our collective clients need us more now than ever. And as a result, I think it's an opportunity for both brokers as well as insurers to work together to help our clients navigate these very difficult waters.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear you say that. And as you know, I mean, we absolutely agree with you. And in fact, we kickstarted a industry coalition several years ago of other carriers, brokers like yourself. Have been great partners, a lot of our mutual customers. So we've been really working to align on tort reform issues for the last several years. I think we've had some good successes, but in terms of your perspective, how do you think the coalition is going? And I don't know, what can we do to improve it as well?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Let me start by saying that the plaintiffs' councils are extremely well organized, right? And they have a great narrative. And that narrative has been winning for years, right? And one of the things that I think the plaintiffs' bar does extremely well is they communicate. They love to brag about their successes. And so they're not shy about telling the how, the when, the where of when they're winning, right? And they're celebrating that, and others are learning from it. So when I look at this coalition, I think it's a good start, right? It's an opportunity for the defense side to now come together in a safe space and start to talk about some of the industry things that are out there that we can work collectively on. And so I'm really encouraged when I look in the room and I sit in those rooms and I see all the major insurers. The leadership is there and they're talking. I'm really encouraged when I sit in those rooms and I see brokers like myself sharing ideas. And I'm really encouraged in sometimes seeing clients in those rooms, because we know that the clients are really the biggest part of being successful in this area, right? And so I think there's work to be done. But it's an encouraging sign. I mean, let's face it, insurance companies in the past probably haven't been great at sharing. And I think it's just the nature of the beast, right? And so, a lot of it is considered intellectual capital. But if we're going to kind of push back on litigation abuse and we're going to kind of level the playing field on social inflation, I think it's imperative that we're all working together.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, and that's certainly a big part of why we got a coalition together, so that we could share information, and I think you're right, the plaintiffs' bar does a good job at it, so we on the defense side need to do a much better job of it. Another part of the coalition, of course, focuses on tort reform, as you know. 2 years ago in Florida, we were able to pass some really historic tort reform. The timing here is interesting because just this week, Governor Kemp in Georgia signed historic tort reform for his state. And I know that we're really excited about it in terms of leveling the playing field out there, which is really what we're trying to do. How do you feel about those efforts? Do you think it's making a difference? I mean, it's a little early in Georgia, but Florida's been a couple of years. Like, are you seeing a difference there? Is it making a difference?
Yeah. So, I mean, let's start with Florida, right? Florida was broken. And I think as you talk to the industry, I think collectively they felt Florida had to be the next target. Prices were soaring. It was just a system that wasn't working.
Right.
And I think it was probably in March or April of 2023 when that occurred. But I don't think it's debatable. I know it's still early, but I will say that we've already seen a decrease in both frequency and severity in claims since they passed that tort reform. I think we've seen an improved stability in just the market itself and the ability to pass off competitive rates now to our clients, et cetera. And I think finally, most importantly for me as a claims guy, we've seen a decrease in the amount of suits in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I remember moving up to that tort reform, there were thousands
Hundreds
of suits.
of thousands,
right?
actually. It was crazy.
And so to be able to see that claw back now, I think we now have a roadmap for where perhaps we can do better with other states. And Georgia's a perfect example. You just mentioned that the governor just signed that bill, right? And we were all anxiously awaiting. So it was good to see that. And I think now, we know with both Florida and Georgia, there's a roadmap that we can follow for other states. But I mean, let's be honest with each other. Let's be candid. There's 50 states in the union. We've attacked 2 now. I think there's still a lot of states out there that are still lopsided, and there's a lot of work to be done.
From your perspective, where would you focus next? What do you think the next states are?
Yeah, so you and I could probably turn off these cameras, right, and probably talk for another 3 hours on where we should focus, right? I do think, though, that it's really super critical for when we're to focus on the areas where we think we can win, right?
Yeah.
And so certain states naturally stand out, whether it's New York or California or Illinois or even Texas, right? But, I will say that just personally, most recently, I've seen some really outsized verdicts in Louisiana, right?
Yeah,
so
right
that
here.
could be a state that we might want to look at. But then I'm also super encouraged by the grassroots efforts that I'm seeing across the country, in places like Arizona, South Carolina, Maryland, as well as Missouri, right? And the voices are getting louder in those states around social inflation and litigation abuse. So I do think it's going to be an interesting couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked a little bit about our mutual customers, and I know me and my team go out to our customers and we talk a lot about what they can do to mitigate the risk and whatnot. What would you say to customers in terms of what they can do proactively to just mitigate that risk of a larger or nuclear verdict?
Yeah, I mean, this is where we got to be able to help our clients, right? And there's an old claims saying which says the best claims are the ones that never happen, right? And so I do think there's a lot that clients can do, both from a pre-loss standpoint as well as a post-loss standpoint. And so just a couple of things that kind of stand out to me from a pre-loss standpoint. I think it's important that clients work to strengthen their risk management and corporate governance. Many of these nuclear verdicts that we're seeing, if you trace them back, it's usually because of some sort of narrative around, not having the right procedures in place or not taking the correct time to do those things. So I think for clients, I would say strengthen your safety departments.
Agreed.
Have a really good program in place because that'll help. The second thing I would talk about is just corporate social responsibility. There's no secret why the plaintiffs' attorneys are winning. They're making the corporations out to be bad guys, right? They're greedy. They don't care about people's health. And we know that's not true, Allen, right? But the narrative is working, right? So I would say for those clients, and there are many out there who are really good stewards within their community, make sure you're celebrating that, right? Yeah. And make sure that you're actually taking that to the communities and they know about it. So if you get into one of these situations, hopefully you'll get the benefit of the doubt from that jury that's sitting in the box because they'll see you as a good corporate steward.
Well, and for our side, from the defense attorney side, we're working with our attorneys to make sure we tell that story well, to tell that narrative, because you can have it out there, but if you're not conveying that to the jury properly, you're going to lose that opportunity. So we'll work together on that.
Yeah, and the last thing I would say is just transitioning from that pre to post loss. Data analytics is the last thing I will talk about today. And we as an industry have tens of millions of lines of data, and we're at a point now where we can start to construct the DNA of what a bad claim looks
Sure.
like. And so I would encourage our collective clients to get with their insurers, to get with their brokers, and work on two things, right? Early intervention as far as finding the ones that are bad, and then equally important, active oversight.
Yes.
So when you find those bad ones, we have to be tenacious, right?
Right.
We got to tear that claim apart. We have to look for ways to help it to mitigate, and we got to try to settle it on our terms. So that would be the advice I give to our clients.
Yeah, well, I think we're aligned on that. I think that all sounds what we're seeing as well. So that's great. Well, thanks, Bill. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. I've always enjoyed our conversations, and I look forward to continuing working with you. So thanks, everyone, for joining from Connections from the Green at the Zurich Classic in New Orleans. Thank you.